Hi, Dan.
Hello, Mark. Nice to see you. It's a very beautiful day.
Could you talk a little bit about where you grew up?
Yes. I was born in Manhattan on West 98th Street, 168 West 98th Street. That's Amsterdam Avenue in Manhattan. My mother and father were born in France, came here as immigrants. My father in 1910, my mother 1907, and my mother 1910. Well, in 1922, my father had returned from the wars in France. He was in the French army during the war. And I was born, and the day that my mother expected, or delivery on me, was a very stormy day. Very, very stormy. We lived at that time, we lived down Amsterdam Avenue, for her to take me to the hospital at 59th Street. Trolley car went about 3 or 4 blocks, and a big pow sound came out of underneath the trolley car. Hit through the circuit breaker on the trolley car. Well, there's my mother, and they were with the child inside. My father couldn't speak English, and this Irish conductor there, when it went pow, he says, "Well, that's it. I guess we just can't go any further." And my father looking at my mother, and my mother looking at him, and he, unable to speak English, still had the courage. Nicely, he throws his rubber carp over his head and goes underneath the trolley and restores the circuit breaker and got back in, and trolley car went on to the hospital. So can you imagine if he had not been cooperative and nice, right, and my father had been unable to communicate other details or whatever, I might have been born in a trolley car. Well, anyway, as you see me now, I was born successfully and managed to survive to this day.
Right. How did you first find out about Westerleigh?
Well, that's interesting too, because being a city boy, and after I returned from the war in 1946, I met my wife in 1940, my future wife, well, myself, whatever, in 1947, a year later. And she was a telephone operator, and I was a telephone company repairman. And I was dispatched there to repair her switchboard. It really sounds chummy, doesn't it? Well, with that, in 1948, after we married, the war was still, the effects of the war were still very noticeable around. And there were very, very few vacant apartments in Manhattan, almost unobtainable through the New York City Housing Authority, which was, we approached them in a position of being a little desperate for an apartment with my mother-in-law. They said, "Well, if you want to live in Staten Island just like this," because I almost would have going to refuse, "we could give you an apartment in Staten Island, but other than that, so forget about it. We have a list as long as you're on." I said, "Staten Island? Okay with me?" Because I already had the experience of living a year with my aunt and uncle in 1932.
Oh yeah?
In West Brighton.
In West Brighton.
Right next to PS 19. I went to school for a year at PS 19 while I resided there. So I had some experience at Staten Island. So I was in Staten, the housing project. We were there about 4 years. That was great. It was great, and most of the tenants were people like myself, came back from the war, we were all the same age, and weren't our young children, so we really hit it nice. The last 2 years I was there, I became president of the South Beach Tenants Association. Interested in,
so you became involved with the whole community?
And of course, that was my first civic involvement. An attorney that got to be my friend, very Jerry Campbell, I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. He was a very noted attorney on Staten Island. He lived in the project too. And he told Dan, "Come on, get involved, because this is a good thing. We're capable of helping them out. Let's look around and see if we can buy a house." So, okay, by chance picked up Staten Island Advance, and I saw this advertisement there. And the real estater was Norton. Norton is a famous name in Westerleigh.
Sure.
And his father was very active in the initial Prohibition Park era.
Wow.
And he showed me this one. Now this house was really run down. Needed
Really?
a lot of repairs, but I liked it.
Uh-huh.
I
What
liked it.
year was that?
1954, and it included a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
It's a side, nice
You want to
side.
tell me what the price was here for the house? Huh? No.
Well, it's up to you. We're
Well,
talking
it was
1950.
13,600.
Wow.
$13,600
Wow.
for this broken down house. He was really in need of a lot of repair.
Uh-huh.
He says, and she's willing to sell it for 11,600. I said, you come up and look how this is ready to sign on. That was it.
Uh-huh.
I bought the house there in November, moved in around Thanksgiving 1954. Well, the challenge was there. Fix all this trellis, the screens, the windows, the doors, rechain all the windows. I'd say everything had to be upgraded.
Mm-hmm.
This house is about 100 years old.
Now, were most of the houses right around here, were they built already?
Oh yeah.
Moved in?
Because I worked with the New York Telephone Company in the 50th Street in Midtown. And for me to get to work was a 2-hour commute each way.
Right. How did you get to the ferry, say?
Well, from here, I walked up the hill to the 66.
Okay. So you walked up the hill and
Yeah.
you took the bus. And
Yeah.
Did you ride your bike?
Yes,
to work?
I did. I didn't at the beginning, of course. I was playing football on vacation upstate in Kingston with a bunch of kids, and I twisted my knee, tore all the ligaments out of it, and this thing swelled up like a balloon. It passed in 2.5 months, but less than that, say about 6 weeks or so. I couldn't walk. I had no muscles in this leg. I said, see, let me try riding a bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
Riding a bicycle is probably, people underestimate the value of riding a bicycle and how it gives you not only an ability to strengthen your legs and all that, and your muscles and ligaments, which it did. It helped me. And I found that I could get up at 6:15 and leave the house at 6:15, catch the 7 o'clock ferry, and be at work before I could get there with public transportation. I continued to do that year after year after year. For 26 years I did that. And it came in very handy during the transit strikes and things like that.
Could you talk about your civic involvement? Like when that
the
that
civic
whole thing
involvement,
kind
of course,
started?
other than the Tenants Association, which that ended when I left down there. When I moved here, there was no Westerleigh Improvement Society. It just, the name never appeared anywhere to my
So
mind. I knew
the
nothing
society,
about
which started in 1893, kind of died down.
Well, you ask, why did the society suddenly stop functioning? And that's an interesting because who knows what they did during the 30s, for example.
Mm-hmm.
All the 30s, World War II, for example, and then have to suddenly, I estimate around 1952 when it became inactive. Estimate, because I'll tell you why. When I came here in 54, there was a monument up at the corner of Jewett Avenue and the Boulevard on the corner, an easement there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously belonged to nobody. That was like a city easement.
Okay.
And the Westerleigh Improvement Society had constructed this monument. It was about 6 foot tall, about that round, and had all the names of the people in Westerleigh that entered the service during the war. And that monument was still there in 1954 when I was here, and it was still existed there several years after that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can mention that as a reason for believing that society was still active until, say, 1952, because that monument was still there, and that's the only evidence I have. I spoke to Evelyn McDonald here before. She says, I was born here, lived here, went to school. I know nothing about the society. Never knew a thing about it.
Right.
Not a word. I thought that was incredible. That the society wasn't able to become aware of the people that lived here, at least. But from what she says, she had no idea who the people were, who the officers were, how many members, what they did.
Right.
And the only evidence, like I'm saying now, that I can point to that indicates they were here was that monument. Around 1960, something like that.
Okay.
Suddenly, the house on the corner where the bus stop is up there at the top of the boulevard there,
Okay.
at the corner. Well, the next thing he does, he puts up a fence around the property. Took over the property and closed it in, assumed the ownership of the easement, and in no time at all, the monument was disappeared. And to this day, nobody to this day, and I'm not talking about just today, but through the years, has any idea what happened to it.
You had shown me some more newspaper articles about a fire that happened close nearby here.
Yes, right across the street here.
And had showed me that the
newspaper
a
reports.
group of people felt that they could help
Oh yeah.
these people.
Well, at that time I was working 4 to 12 shift in the telephone company. I had just gotten home maybe about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. I'd gotten into bed, whatever. And about 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm in bed and I hear fire, well, of the house.
Okay.
Was engulfed in flames. And all I heard after I came out and got some indication what was going on, when I came out on the site there, two men, Mr. Capici and Mr. Miko across the street here, had attempted to get in the house with ladders on the second floor because there was a new 1-year-old baby in the house there. Now this family here was a new family. They hadn't been living there very long. And they had gone to work. And the 2 little boys, one about 2 and the other 4 were on the sidewalk. And the mother had by that time come out in sleep clothes and overcoat and everything, and was in the road there. And the house could not be saved. The house could not, but the baby was still in the thing.
Wow.
So just about that time, even after I got there, the police, the fire department from up here got there. And one fireman quickly put up a ladder on the side there, broke in the window, and took out the child. But the child died.
Oh, wow.
From suffocation. Smoke, so it was gone. So that was a tragic story about that house. But getting back to what you're interested in about what the neighbors did.
Right.
We were all now completely aware of what went on, the whole neighborhood. And after a few days, we gave that some thought. What can we do? Maybe we can help these people return to their house. So we formed a committee to raise money, and also to see what we could recover from the house in the way of furniture, clothing, stuff like that, that we could remove and maybe it wasn't burned and could be washed. And we arranged with Stapleton Laundry for them to wash all the clothes that was not damaged. And the furniture, all the furniture we could recover, little odds and ends, nothing big, of course. I had my garage full of their furniture and stuff like that. With all the collection, house-to-house collection, collecting in front of the Blessed Sacrament Church, we raised $12,000.
Wow, in the 60s.
And at that time, I'm telling you, I only paid $11,000 for this house. So we raised $12,000 house, which only a couple of years ago. So to get you the equivalent, it was like he could have bought a house.
And
he did.
Wow.
And he did.